I'm joined by DK or Dmytro Kovalenko, um, one of our lead designers from the Ukraine. And dude, you've been with us 5 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Over four
Over
years.
four
Yeah,
years. Okay, so
yeah,
you've been with us over 4 years. Um, you've touched so many different projects within Modus's ecosystem that, like, I'm just very excited to talk to you. I'm very excited to share your story. So, before we begin, if you don't mind, let us know who you are and what you do.
yeah. I'm DK. I like to say that I do all things design because that's literally what it is. Even though my professional title kind of is a product designer, which means that I do digital products such as websites, web applications, native applications, and so on. I originally started working as a designer in marketing area, just like most of the designers my age from this location where I'm located. And then I realized that a digital world is much of interest for me. So I transitioned to product design. And currently I'm doing all things design for Modus. Why I say all things is because it's not just limited to product design. It all comes down to marketing, branding, even swag that we wear, that we share with our clients and friends.
You mentioned swag. Swag is like, dude, I see that the hat that you helped design. I'm wondering what is it about, like the using the logo and swag that kind of gets you excited.
Swag to me is an ability to touch and create some of the physical parts in actual physical world as opposed to just doing digital things. And for designers, I feel that that's one of the things we want to admire, want to see something that we created, how people use it and stuff like that.
You have project work, but there are other things that you've done that, I would say are on like the fun side, like this little guy. So I'm wondering,
Yeah.
like, what was that experience? What was the impetus? What was the experience like for you?
Being able to work on something on the side was always an interest for me. And I was doing that throughout the entire career, whether it was freelancing, personal projects, whatever that is. And there were a magnitude actually of projects that I did for Modus that are not client work, but internal initiatives. Things like some of the proof applications of some technologies that will lead to an open source, such as Beep or Modus Land. The project that you just showed, the game, it's something totally new that I never done before, and it's sometimes scary. It's a little bit frustrating. You may feel anxious, but at the same time, you feel that that's an opportunity for you to see world in a different perspective and widen your own perspective thanks to that, and switch off, just a practical switching off from one project to another, being able to flex your creative muscle. The beauty of you working on some side project that you don't have a client on as a stakeholder, but you become one of the stakeholders of the project yourself, gives you a huge opportunity to own the things that you do, meaning that you can make a decisions and they actually go live.
I gotta say, one of the things I appreciate working about working with you is when we talked about various aspects, iconography or layouts. Like one of the things that are intentional about is not just the aesthetic, but the functional. And I remember when we were working on Genus, the what was it, 2018 puzzle game for the Odroid Go. I remember when we were talking about the various block placements, the power ups. You were just like, no, dude. Like, if you have to put the power up here, then you're gonna want to see explosions or the blocks clearing in a certain radius. Because if it's too much, it's not gonna be fun. Or if it's too close, it's just not gonna be effective. Even to the palettes, I just thought that your way of approaching design, is it to me it's refreshing as an engineer. Just how methodical you are. So I absolutely love working with you on these things, dude.
Seeing how engineers think also helps my work. So I think it's a perfect match on working with a team that is cross functional. Then we can all collectively feed each other with some information and being able to learn from one another and apply those learnings in our own disciplines, even though they may seem completely different at the first glance.
You've been doing this for over 4 years. Modus has existed as a remote native company for over a decade now. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, being nearly halfway across the globe from our headquarters, how does remote work for you? Excuse me. How does remote working operate for you, being so far away, time shifted and whatnot?
The challenge of remote work is much lower than the benefit that I get out of it. There are many benefits that I can name, but the key ones that I would outline is the ability to work with everyone everywhere, which means that I can learn from the best pros, I can work with the best companies, I can contribute to the best projects and the best products in this world, create the most amazing things that people will see on many different parts of this world without being forced to be located in a specific area or place. And that is one of the biggest things that I have, that I can name working remotely.
One of the things I admire you for is diving in deep to our YouTube channel initiative. So I was wondering, what was the impetus for joining? And two, what's been your experience working with the YouTube team thus far?
Okay, so to the first part of the question, I was doing it before myself. So I have a channel. It's not as active, but I had a couple of attempts to share my experience, and at that time, that was the ability for me to give back to community, because I learned so much from the internet myself, from the YouTube specifically, that I thought that I have some experience that I can already share. I remember how I was watching through tons of videos to get a specific type of information, and I was combining those pieces in my head and on a paper, trying to create a collective picture of the things that I wanted to learn, even like how to do interviews, with the companies. And there were like hour videos, 2 hour videos. And I realized that now I have this distilled experience that I can very quickly share to someone who has an interview tomorrow and they are fearful about, what I should say, how it'll go. So I realized that in that stressful situation, they may benefit a lot from the videos. And that's how it happened. So that was part of the reason. And, having that mentality already built, when I recognized that, when I realized that we do that within Modus as well, it was just an instant reaction for me to join and try to contribute. And, like, why not? Why not to try some new things? Why not to help the company that I work for to grow and progress? But the way we organize it and the way we learn around it, I like that we approach it as a project. We have all the Kanban board for that. We have all the system best practices written down, some steps in the process to mitigate, the risk of shipping something that is broken or not good enough. So I do recognize that, and I also love those things because they make myself as a pro in that matter much better. And video shooting is one of the passions of mine. I like to shoot some creative videos just for myself, just for the sake of fun. So being around that and having myself, shooting some useful content at the same time is also a great opportunity. Plus, just a side bonus, when you talk to a camera, it's very hard sometimes to overcome yourself, your insecurities, your lack of confidence and other things. And I think that it also helps to overcome those things and become a better speaker overall, to try to give your point to people in a much more powerful and condensed way. So there are a lot of benefits to it. So why not, right? Everything that is worth pursuing is very difficult in our lives, but why not?
Let's rewind the clock back. It's a little over 4 years ago. How did you find Modus, and what was the reason you decided to join us?
So I was on a project with another firm that went into the stage of just design support. And there were a couple of months of seeking for new projects, and nothing, was coming into my way. And despite the fact that I had some personal projects at the same time, so I literally had something that I wanted to do, I recognized that, moving forward, it's not that much that I can do within that company at the time. So I started considering looking for other opportunities. And I do remember that at that time, I was already working partially as a remote worker. So I do remember that having a taste of that and understanding and feeling the benefits of all those things, I recognize that I have to try to look for the same type of, communication with the company. The one thing that was very different from Modus than any other company that I've worked before is the first minute interaction with the first person within the company. And it is very different. I can talk hours about what is different, but the human approach and the level of professionalism, work ethics, the language and everything was very resonating with me, something that I never experienced before. Not that never experienced before, but experienced very little. Caught my attention, and that human factor, I believe, is one of the key decision makers to actually, move with the opportunity and try it out.
Right on. And 4 years, a little over 4 years in, you stayed with us, and we all know that the average tenure for people nowadays is in the 2 to 3 years time frame. So I'm wondering what has kept you from seeking other positions. What's kept you within Modus's ecosystem?
Okay, so I think that there are a couple of factors into this. One is the ability to learn new things, and that always was the key factor for me. Even till this day, literally almost anyone that I work with around me, I consider being smarter than myself, at least in some areas, but mostly in many areas. And it's always a great situation, fantastic situation when you can recognize that and you genuinely feel that, is because it opens up an opportunity for you to learn from those people. And within Modus, it's a perfect atmosphere because everyone is open to always give you a hand in anything and help you learn new things. And everyone is actively moving somewhere. They do things around you, and it just motivates you to do the same. So that's part of the reason. The second part that I already mentioned before is the ability to do those personal projects within the company that allows you to switch off from day-to-day work, that allows you to switch gears in the things that you do, the problems that you're solving, and having more control over the things that you design. By more control, I mean having, the freedom to decide what needs to be designed and how it needs to be designed. I think that's the reason why I'm still here.
Right on, dude. I think what you're speaking to is what we collectively call the platform. And one
Exactly.
one
Yeah.
of the things that people have asked us is like, well, you guys seem optimized for engineers, and we say, well, we have an engineering centric culture. Growth can occur at any point for any person within Modus in any career, and it's exciting to hear that you've experienced this in the design world. That's heartwarming, dude.